Okay, recording has started. Okay, well, we have Kim here, who is the Lupus Warrior. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. My name is Kimberly Annette Brody. I am 48. I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, and I was diagnosed in 2020. So while
Wow.
everyone was dealing with COVID, I never got COVID, but I learned of my diagnosis of discoid lupus.
I can only imagine being in that year, 2019 started the year of COVID, and to merge into 2020 to find out you have lupus. Wow. Oh my. How did you take that news? I know it couldn't have been too well.
It was pretty hard because that January I had started having some issues after my primary care told me, you have high blood pressure, you need to lose some weight. I
Yeah.
said, okay, this is 2020. You have clarity. I've had my physical. I'm going to make this happen. That very next day, I started getting pain in my lower back and was having difficulty walking. But I just said, I'm a strong Black woman. I'm going to fight every day. I'm going to keep pushing forward. It's going to be okay. I had an appointment for a mammogram, and when I got there, they said your breasts look different than they did the last time. We can't do it. We're gonna have to reschedule and do a 3D scan because there's something wrong. And I said, well, if they notice something,
Yeah.
something's happening. So I'll go. I went to the emergency room since they canceled my appointment, and they told me I had low potassium. So they prescribed some potassium. I went on to line dancing class as usual and kept pushing. The next day, I could barely sit down without being in pain. So kept going to the emergency room. They're like, "There's nothing wrong with you." I'm like, "But it is." But they couldn't see it. So I finally said, just forget it all. I called my mom after she had dropped me off from church. I said, "You know what, Mom, I can't take this anymore. The pain is too bad. Um, I just think it's time for me to meet my maker. It's time for me to go home with Jesus." And she said, "If you hang this phone up, I'll kill you." And it made me think about what love had to do with it. But I continued turning, so I started laughing. So I was like, "Okay, it's still some life in me." So I
Yeah.
called one of my friends that's in healthcare, and she said, "Try a different hospital since that hospital isn't listening to you." So I
Mhm.
went to that hospital, and they were listening to me. My doctor had sent me to get some scans, and it had showed that I didn't have breast cancer like she thought. That breast cancer specialist sent me to an OB specialist, and he found that I had a 5-pound fibroid that calcified, died, embedded itself in my uterus, so my body thought I was 11 weeks pregnant. So that's why my breasts were changing. I was getting granuloma mastitis. So by the time I got to that emergency room, I had been through trying to get a doctor's appointment. All the doctors they were sending me to were out of town or busy. I had to go get a consult before I could even get the surgery that I needed. So I was just bewildered at this point. So when I got to the next hospital, they immediately admitted me because my blood pressure was off the charts. So that was February-ish. In
Yeah.
March, I had a hysterectomy. Um, During that time, that's when COVID hit. I was released from the hospital 3 days before they shut down the world. I had a nurse come every week to keep checking on my breast because a hole had opened on my breast, causing even more issues. Subsequently, July 2020, I had to have a double mastectomy because of the deterioration of my breast. My scheduled surgery kept getting pushed back because of COVID regulations. When I came out of that surgery, my hands turned blue. My mom said, well, I'm not taking her home. Her hands weren't blue. When I brought her here, they found the first autoimmune disease, which was Raynaud's, where your fingers and toes, the blood constricts and it goes numb. So I couldn't move.
Wow.
Infectious disease doctor said there's something still wrong. Go to a rheumatologist. And in that August, I found out that I had lupus. So with in 6 to 8 months, my life got flipped, turned upside down. So, but I still never got COVID.
And
Even with my weekend immune
like
system, I still didn't get it.
they made it seem like COVID was the deadliest, but they must have heard about lupus.
Right.
Oh wow, that was a lot to experience in such small time frame. Y'all
It was a lot.
were all over. Like, I know that had to be a hard hit. I definitely understand from having lupus, so my heart goes out to you because it's a lot to deal with mentally, physically. You know, you have to change your whole lifestyle in the blink of an eye. And
Yes.
working during that moment,
Yes.
wow. And
So I was thankful to have a HR rep that heard me
yeah,
because she had saw me coming because I was going into work early and leaving late so nobody would see me. And
yeah,
I was still complete my job because I didn't know what was going on. I needed my insurance. So she saw me and she said, you stay home until you figure this out because you're a liability. So you stay home, you talk to me, and I will handle it. And she did. God bless her soul, she passed. But yeah, she fought hard for me.
that's good because everybody don't do that when it comes down to having a career, a job. They don't care. I remember having surgery one day. I was working. This was way before lupus. I think I was having a miscarriage, and I ended up having to go to the hospital. That job fired me the next day.
Mm,
Yeah, I know it's kind of rough when you're trying to, and you being sick, having to have a job, you still got bills to pay on top of that, and if you have kids, like family, it's not easy at all. So I definitely
yeah.
can agree with that. Can you
That
make
was another issue as well because I didn't have any kids. I'm single. So to have my womb taken and my breast within 6 months, they were concerned about my mental health because they felt as though they were taking away my womanhood and that I would spiral out. But I told them my being a woman is not my only my breast and my womb and the amount of pain I was in because it was prolonged due to not being able to have the surgery. I'm like, you're taking these breasts and you're taking them now. And they were like, well, don't you want to get reconstructive surgery? I said, if naturally my body is rejecting them, why
yeah,
would I want you to put something in me? No, thank
I definitely understand that. And sometimes we have to speak up with our doctors and let them know we can't just allow them to do anything. You know, we're not a guinea pig, and a lot of doctors like treat us like guinea pigs.
you. Right.
We have to make sure we voice our opinion. If we can, we need to have somebody representative that is able to voice their opinion when we can't even do it.
Hmm.
I see so many people, being in the hospital or even passing away from something that they probably didn't have to. If somebody was there to help them voice their own opinion, because sometimes the doctors work too much on us. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to probably perform this surgery, that surgery.
Hmm.
Sometimes your body need a break. Your body need, rest. Like even when you having surgery and doing all that, that also can flare up your body. And
Yes, yes, indeed.
I'm very careful on certain surgeries. I may want to do a little mummy makeover and certain things, but that's something we have to think about having lupus, that our body can just flare out of control. And
Hmm.
hearing that you weren't, you had to basically get your womanhood taken away from you before you even had kids. Like that's very deep. And we don't think about all this, that lupus, what I'm saying, can cause all these issues. Like
Yeah.
when I found out my diagnosis, that I diagnosed about lupus, it was like many diagnoses, following before I even found out I actually had lupus, so they you really got diagnosed pretty fast because
Yes, I'm a unicorn in the community.
I like it could take years, and it took a couple of years for them to finally say, okay, well, you got lupus or whatever. I was told I had Sjogren's, which is another autoimmune disease. I was told, numerous. I got fibromyalgia. Also, womenhood. I mean, the women problems I had: endometriosis, PCOS. Also, I was told I wasn't even supposed to have any more kids. I was supposed to have a what you said you had
The hysterectomy?
yeah, I was supposed to have a hysterectomy. The only thing that really saved me from that because I always told my mom had one, and I remember she always said, "Do not have hysterectomy." If I feel like she felt like it took away her womanhood. You know, always having to deal with the hot flash and different things that she was going through. And I can say I felt like premenopause before, and it's nothing to play with. When they was giving me them shots to stop my cycle because I was having all types of cysts,
Yeah.
I've had surgery to get it removed and it grew right back even bigger. So,
Ooh.
playing with surgery and stuff, and then for you have to just about 3 months later, it's growing back even bigger, you know. And I was having mood swings the night, like jumping up out the bed in the middle of the night, couldn't really sleep, hot flashes, all that, dealing with your body. And when I went back to my doctor, well, what the doctor is to the gynecologist, he was like, "Yeah, just imagine if you had menopause. This is just a premenopause."
Right.
And whew, so I never did get that hysterectomy. I was told I probably couldn't have no more kids. If I would have listened, I wouldn't have had my son. And I
Mhm.
thank God for him because he have really helped me to pick up my life because it was times that I just didn't. I wanted to give up. You know how you say you just think it's your time. I had to have a sign. Let me know that I still got life here on earth. My
Yeah.
girl older, and so they can do a lot on them for themselves.
Hmm.
I have no motivation to really get back up because of the pain. The pain like will make you not want to get up, not want to do nothing. Who wants
Right.
all this medication and it's really not helping. So
Hmm.
I definitely can understand that. So if you can tell the people what kind of other like the symptoms, all the symptoms that you had.
So as we're looking back over my full life, because they're trying to figure out when it actually appeared, because the first question was, did the fibroid wake up the lupus, or was the lupus waking up the fibroid? So as we're doing investigation on our own, it's not official medical study, but they believe I've had it since I was about 15 or 16. I always like to take a whole lot of naps. I would sleep the weekend away. I don't like the light. I don't like the sun. Um, I can sit in the dark all day and be just fine. And so that was the fatigue. That was the photosensitivity, the light. I had issues with my ankles and my knees a lot. They tell you it was arthritis because I was overweight. I had up and down depression, which nobody really we would pay into. I was a moody teen, so that's all they kept. I just kept getting, unbeknownst to me, I was being gaslit, but I didn't know to write all this down and to present it as one thing to say, hey, I think something else more is wrong with me. I just believe what they were telling me. That's what the medical profession is supposed to do. So as I stand today, when I share my story, a lot of people then say, "Oh, well, I have those. That mean I have it." No, no, no.
It
No. What happened to me was very traumatic in how I found out,
was
but a lot of times, as you know, it's taken up to 6 years for them to figure out what is wrong with you. And by the time they've treated everything they misdiagnosed you with, your body has negatively reacted to those medications and those different trials or tribulations of trying to figure out what was wrong with you. That by the time you get to actually knowing what it is, you're just done with it all. You don't want to talk about it. Your mental health has been challenged, relationships have been broken, your faith has been tried, but it's at the end of the day, I just know God is real and He has been with me the whole time because my mom never left me in the hospital. And it was this gentleman that came to my room and he said, "It's just a light coming from your room." And I keep hearing a lot of joy when I walk past. he was there with a family member down the hall, and he said he just had to come in and see who I was. And at the moment, I didn't know what this man was talking about. I thought he was just a little crazy. I was like, maybe he tired from, standing up here. But now reflecting back, I just saw it was God. I was supposed to be there to show somebody who God is and that he's real, because I was able to move to a regular room after my surgery and then consequently leave the hospital.
Wow, that's something amazing. And sometimes, like you said, God can use us to show His power within us, even when we don't understand. Because a lot of times, I know I didn't understand. Probably question like, "Why me? Why me then? But why not?" And
Right.
that turn you to a better person. You know, it make you think about your whole life and rethink how you live your life, and you don't want
Yeah.
to take it for granted.
Hmm.
We take simple things for granted. Like I can say I may was taking, like you said, your ankles. I definitely I've had them problems, and I've been cranked back up. Now my inflammation levels are kind of high. Like we take our hands and stuff for granted. Like now
Yes.
I wake up, I want to thank you for giving me these hands. If they hurt real bad, but I'm
Yes.
thankful. Like I just have to thankful because sometimes I can't try to move my hands. You know,
Hmm.
we can't take nothing like for granted. We gotta be thankful every day and spread this awareness.
Yes.
Don't know who may need to hear this story, your story. Like you know what I'm saying, how strong you are. You've given me, hope through this
Oh,
conversation.
thank
Like
you. Thank you.
deal with all what you have done, deal with, and still have a smile on your face, a bright eye.
Yeah.
You know, some people be trying to curse out God or mad and angry at the world. Sometimes we get a little upset and we get in our moods. I know I get in my mood, but you know,
Yeah.
don't be like Joe's wife and Kurt. You know what I'm saying? So Kurt's got that.
Yes.
Like that story has helped me during a lot of hard times. You know.
Yes, it's been a journey. I must say, because I battled with depression, so I had got pretty low. But my job, once again, they gave me a life coach. They gave me counseling. I was having anxiety attacks. They said you need to take care of yourself. We have free mental screenings for you through your insurance. Use it. I was like, I think I'm okay. But I was planning an event at my job, and the people had to fly in from different parts of the United States. And I kept having dreams that their planes was crashing. I thought the hotel was gonna catch on fire. I thought they were gonna end up in a flood coming to my job, and they were like, "Yeah, is something wrong. You're usually not like this," because I was a social butterfly before 2020. I was everywhere, and I don't even drive. I take the bus and the train, but I was somewhere every day. And due to that diagnosis of lupus and COVID, I turned into a housefly. So then I was scared to come out the house. I didn't want to come out the house. I
Yeah,
said, I'll come out to see the doctor, but I'm going right back in. So as I started going back to work, my anxiety levels got higher. I went back into church because I was doing it virtually. And when everybody came to say, like, hey, welcome back, Kim, I freaked out. I had to get out of there. It was just too much. So it's been quite a journey, but through it all, there was always someone that said, I didn't even know you were sick at that moment. And I'm like, if you knew how sick I really am, even though medically I don't make the requirements for the clinical trials because I'm not sick enough, but I am chronically ill and I am in pain every day, fighting for my life. Like you say, when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for opening my eyes. And then I say, Lupus, what do you have for me today? Because you never know each day what part is going to hurt. I mean, the brain fog, my cognition. I'm like, I'm an executive assistant at my job. I need to be on it. Keep hold the glue together, Johnny on the spot. And some days I can't even remember what I did an hour before.
I feel the brain fog. Yeah, it's amazing how you mentioned a lot of the like some of the symptoms. Like it seems like it all kind of correlate. Like when you was mentioning your joints, your ankles. Like went through that. Your feminine problems. I was going through that bad when I first kind of got in the midst of my diagnosis. All these things, like you speaking of the sun affect you. That affected me a lot of times. Anxiety, I definitely suffered a lot with anxiety. I've been getting much better with it, learning how to cope with it. But when, especially when I got pregnant with my son, it really was sky